All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
Yeah. What up, everybody? What up? The magic of another day. Let me turn this down so you can hear us. I'm not sure of the mix. Usually Albert does this, but Albert is...
Sounds good.
Is it? Okay, good. Anyway, it's Kim, it's myself. Albert will be along, presumably. We have a big show. A lot of people are going to be along today. In a moment, our pal, friend of the show, and the esteemed weather forecaster Spencer Christian joins from ABC7. So we'll get a chance to check in on what is yet another storm pounding California. It's interesting. I was looking at flight delays and such, and I didn't see a ton of them. And I thought that was kind of a good sign, but we'll
Things are dinging.
What was the dinging?
I don't know.
Yeah. But we're glad you were here. I'm sorry. Then I was going to mention Friday Fabulous Florida at 10:35. Michael Shore and Jim Avila joined to talk about politics, world events. That's in the 11 o'clock hour. And then, of course, the Culture Blaster, Michael Snyder on all things movies, music, television. He'll be along in the 11 o'clock hour as well. Welcome to all of you. Thank you for being here. You know how you can smash it with your iron rod and get a thumbs up for the like and get it out of the way and join us. It costs you nothing. We're so glad that we could provide a great Friday show. And now, without any further delay, here he is, as I say, a guy who you know from ABC7, his work for years on Good Morning America, a friend of the show, supporter, Spencer Christian, everyone.
Good morning.
How about it?
Good morning, Mark and Kim.
Yeah.
And everybody.
Good morning.
Yeah, I love it, Spencer. Spencer, give us the state of the state on this storm system, where we sit. It moved in overnight, right?
You're right. It moved in overnight. The most intense impacts of the storm are felt overnight. Heavy rain, flooding rain. There are closures on some low-lying areas of Interstate 580 here going west toward the city. I don't know how many reports we have of downed trees, but I do know that the winds were gusting up to 50 miles an hour. I heard you mention the flight delays. I guess we're fortunate that most of this happened overnight when there were fewer flights. So right now, what we have is sort of the aftermath of this level 3 storm, strong storm.
I'm good. How are you?
Widespread localized flooding, but the rain has tapered off significantly right now.
I haven't called yet. I'm sorry. She's sick.
Scattered showers. There may be an isolated downpour here and there, but no widespread heavy rain is expected today. Still pretty gusty out there from time to time, but no 50-mile-per-hour gusts. And I think, Mark, this is a pattern we're going to be in through the next couple of days before a slightly stronger storm comes in again on Monday, Tuesday.
Wow, there's yet another storm coming.
Yeah, this on our our scale of ranking storms at ABC7 from 1 to 5. This one was a 3. The next couple of days, we're talking 1s. Level 1 today, scattered showers, level 1 Saturday, Sunday even. Oscar Sunday, level 1, scattered showers. But Monday, we'll see a better organized storm developing on Monday. Will begin as a level 1, but we expect it to intensify to level 2 by Tuesday.
So between this storm and the more serious storm that you talk about for the beginning of next week,
right,
it's a kind of showery regime, would you say, off and on kind of thing?
Exactly. A showery regime. I like that. Well put.
I dusted that one off. I used to say that when I was a big weather guy.
There certainly could be an isolated downpour here and there, but in terms of widespread effect of the storm, just scattered showers for about the next 3 days. And an occasional wind gust, but no sustained powerful winds.
I want to ask you about an incident I heard about This is unrelated to the weather. I'm glad. By the way, there are some road closures and some rerouting and detouring, particularly in the East Bay this morning, I noticed. So as you say, I mean, the effects of the storm system are real, but it looks like it's rolling out with the ferocious part of the storm behind us more quickly. Is that just to put a button on it? That's kind of what I'm getting from you.
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay, so with that, then I want to ask you about this thing I heard about, and I think Kim has the picture because it was on your social media. There it is. That's Robin Roberts and you, and this is a picture just taken. In other words, you guys must have reconnected. Where did you guys reconnect?
Well, I didn't know. I knew she was going to be in the Bay Area yesterday, but I didn't know that she was going to be on our midday newscast at ABC7. She came to town apparently to deliver a speech at USF last night. So I walked into the studio yesterday around midday, not knowing Robin Roberts was there, and everybody who saw me said, have you seen Robin yet? Have you seen Robin? She's here. And I'm going, she's here. And they said, yeah, she's on the midday show. So I ran down to the studio. And of course, she ran up and we had a big hug, big warm embrace. We started trading stories of old times at GMA because we go way back together.
Sure.
And it was just such a delight to see her. And I think you can see evidence of that delight in both of our smiles right there.
Oh, no, it's a great picture for just that reason. You guys both look so happy. I'll tell you, you also look you look really good. I mean, Robin is a very attractive lady.
Yes.
Very attractive person. It seems, and like a lot of, maybe to the degree that, a positive outlook and a pure heart and all that stuff comes to the service. I don't know. But look at you. I mean, you stepped right out of like 1985 there and took that picture. It's insane, man.
I appreciate that, Mark. I really do.
You really look great.
Listen, I really appreciate that. Believe me. I mean, you know that I'm 75 and a half. And when you're at this age and you get a compliment like that, it means a lot to you. So thank you.
Again, you're a great friend of the show, and we thank you. Kim, I think we can probably lose that picture now. I don't know how to take it out of the. There we go. Okay, yeah. Or we can leave the picture up for longer.
No, I'm kidding.
Kim, before I excuse the witness, do you have any other questions? Oh, here are pictures.
Oh my gosh.
Kim is.
Are these local from last night?
She's muted at the moment, but
Sorry, this is a picture from the Press Democrat of a rescue. This woman drove into water and her car stalled and she had to be led to safety. Yeah. I got here's a picture of a tree that came down, or a landslide, I should say, that in the North Bay as well. And also there's one in the North Bay. You can see a car into the water right off the ditch, into a ditch. Here it is. Wow. This is the kind of trouble people are getting into. Oops. Yeah. And then I got a message this morning from John, and he is in the Carmel, Monterey area. Yeah. He sent me a picture of the PG&E outage map. So that doesn't look good. And then he said he got a message from PG&E. They say his power is going to be off for 24 hours, more than that, all the way to late tomorrow night is when their power might go back on. And he sent me a picture of a tree that came down across a roadway there in Monterey. So he said it's Tree-mageddon, trees down all over the place.
Well, that's those winds you're talking about, Spencer, that came in and really were of a force that a lot of trees were downed.
Exactly right. Yeah, the winds caused this, and of course, the pooling and ponding on the roadways. There are going to be lots of people driving into water that's much deeper than it appears to be when they're on the road, and people are going to get stuck and have to be rescued. It's just those are the impacts. That's why we call it a storm impact scale. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, exactly. Right.
I just keep remembering you said the storm would come in with a fury, and boy, did it ever. Last night, the rain was just beating my house. Yeah. So, yeah.
And now Spencer says sort of the back edge of it is going to roll through quickly, but we'll be left in this showery kind of thing. And then the next big one is early next week. Hey, have a great weekend, Spencer. I think we're going to become really good pals early next week again.
We love you.
We're going to put up the bat beam. So thank you, Spencer Christian, everybody. Come on.
Good weekend.
Spencer Christian. Yeah. Wow. Very, very cool. Love my Spencer Christian.
I do too. That guy's amazing.
Yeah. Right on.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Can't believe he's
Welcome,
75. 75. Wow.
welcome Albert to the show, everybody. Albert's better late than never.
What up, Albert?
Albert, hope you're okay. We always love having you.
Everything's good. I'm here. I'm here.
All right. Albert, I'll tell you what we had planned, but I'll let you kind of get your breath, and maybe we can do this. I wanted to do it today, but maybe in a few minutes. We had planned to remind everybody that March Madness, you'll see it on my hat, and it starts next week, is something that we really would love for you to participate in. You don't have to. I mean, you can vote in the moment for March Madness when we play one drop off against another, but we have brackets that will be set by the commissioner, who is Albert. And in those brackets, you'll see all of these different drops. And the brackets just ask you and offer you the opportunity to predict the outcome, just like you would do it in March Madness. So March Madness is all about the drops, those sounds, what people say, the whoopee apology versus the Tubin apology, etc. So we were going to run through that. We may not run through it with the kind of examples that we were going to have today, but we will do it Monday. And then the actual tournament, we have a play-in round. I believe it starts Tuesday, and then the actual tournament is Wednesday. So you'll have a few days. Once the bracket is released by the commissioner's office, you'll have a few days to discuss it. We'll discuss it. All of us will all play along with you, and I think it'll be something really fun.
Yeah, and on Monday, over the weekend, I'll finalize the bracket, except for the ones that will be on the play-ins. So then we could preview that on Monday as well. So we could look at it, and I'm almost done with it. So it's going to be really exciting.
Very cool. Looking forward to that. All right. So, yeah. I also wanted to mention a couple of things that are going on, some of which are fairly significant. One of which is occurring right in the Bay Area, out of Silicon Valley. You saw that Silicon Valley Bank has collapsed. Yeah, SVB, it's called, Silicon Valley Bank. It's a big bank for startups. A lot of the startup Silicon Valley world was in the orbit of that bank. And for that reason, it is being looked at as sort of a bellwether, meaning let's see what's going to happen with the future of, essentially with the future of startups in this economy that seems troubled by rising interest rates. And indeed, it was rising interest rates that hurt SVB. That's one of the things they point to. They were worried about a run on the bank. They were worried essentially about needing that capital for investors. And they tried to do a capital raise. It wasn't successful. They tried to sell the bank. That wasn't successful. This just happened. So when you see a bank being troubled in the way that this is being troubled, I mean, they lost an immense amount. It was a huge 87% over 2 days is what their stock crashed to. 87% of what it was.
What?
Yeah. So it's likely they weren't on your radar, but believe me, they're on the radar of Silicon Valley, and they're on the radar of investors, and they're on the radar of startups. And regulators have shut SVB Financial Group, and they've taken control of the bank's deposits. As I say, their shares fell 87%, and they tried selling themselves off after they couldn't get that capital raise done. They're in Santa Clara, and they lend money to and take deposits from Silicon Valley startups. They have been hurt by the Fed's desire to raise interest rates. So I mention it as something you can keep your eye on if it's something you have interest in. I believe that when you look at, as I say, these signposts as to whether investors are worried about the Silicon Valley economy, I look toward things like this. I think these are solid indicators of oftentimes the health of technology endeavors that are very much a part of the Bay Area economy and a part of the American economy. So I mention it in that context. The other news that I have is big news indeed. Pizza Hut is bring back the 90s era mini basketballs for March Madness, everybody. I know.
Oh, yeah.
A major announcement from the Mark Thompson Show. A major announcement.
Major announcement out of the Pizza Hut world. If you grew up in the 90s as a kid, or you participated in the Pizza Hut orbit that was the 90s, you'll know this this pizza. It's the mini basketball world that was very much a part of the Pizza Hut scene in the 90s. They announced that it will be bringing back, Pizza Hut will be, the popular toy from the 20th century, just in time for the start of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. For a limited time, they say, you can order the mini basketballs for $7 through the Pizza Hut website and their app. The black and red mini basketballs are emblazoned with the company's slogan, "Nobody out-pizzas the Hut." Who doesn't want a mini basketball that is emblazoned with that motto, "No one out-pizzas the Hut"?
And then do they give you a little pop-out thing in your pizza box so it turns into a hoop?
Do they?
That's what the picture looks like.
Yeah, right here.
I love that.
The pizza box doubles as a basketball hoop.
Oh my God, that's genius. I love that. That's the kind of American ingenuity that we need more of. This could bring us back to leadership in the world's economy beyond where we are. Look, if you're
There's never been anything like this.
Yeah, thank you. You can see it there on YouTube if you're looking. That is the latest out of Pizza Hut. So, very, very cool. And I might say, it's just in time for the big celebration at Chinese leader Xi's house, as he's won a third term as China's president, extending his rule there in that great country. Congratulations, President Xi.
Wait a minute.
I know that was really
one a third term. Are you talking like, do people go out and vote? No.
Well, you can call it voting. It was a ceremonial appointment by the National People's Congress. It was a foregone conclusion, of course, that he's going to become president because he has essentially either eliminated or otherwise handled, might be a way to put it politely, potential rivals to the presidency. So, all the top ranks of the Communist Party, and that's his party, right? There's really, they're all his pals. So it's as Kim says, it wasn't really much of a,
Well, it wasn't an election, no.
Yeah. He is 69 years old, for those of you who are adjusting your programs on President Xi. So, what is in?
Doesn't look as good as Spencer Christian.
He does not. He does
Google
not. What is in the big Oscar gift bags that people get? You know, when you are an Oscar nominee or participant, they give you those gift bags, right, Kim?
It's the swag bag, yeah.
I don't think it's guessable, Albert, but but I have a couple of the items. This is the 6-figure swag bag that select nominees receive, it says here. It's called the Everyone Wins gift bag.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. People like Austin Butler, Ana de Armas, Angela Bassett, Kate Blanchett, Colin Farrell, Steven Spielberg will each get one of these bags.
People basically that don't need the swag bag is what you're saying.
That is true. There is, in Hollywood, essentially, people who don't need free stuff, they're the ones who get free stuff.
Yeah.
So here's the kind of thing that will be in the swag bags. Or swag bags, depending on. I always say swag, but I think it's swag.
Swag, yeah, swag.
Wink, wing. 3 nights for the nominee and up to 7 friends in the newly renovated Faro Punta Imperatore Lighthouse in Ischia, Italy. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's just one thing that's in there.
Trip to Italy and the lighthouse. Yep.
3
sold.
nights for the nominee and up to 7
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
There's a reason that this place is fun.
3 nights at the Lifestyle, which is an ultra-modern, ultra-private 10-acre estate in rural Ottawa, Canada. A curated gift set of gourmet hand-harvested dates from Batil's Organic Farm in the Al Ghat region of Saudi Arabia. Oh my God.
There's never been anything like this.
Yeah. A plot of land in Australia to contribute to conservation and reforestation efforts around the country. That's from Pieces of Australia.
Queensland, yes.
Luxury skincare. It's a Mirage's full line of luxury skincare products.
Yes, huge in Japan. It does sound pretty bougie.
A sample of vegan retinol from luxury Canadian skincare brand EcoMD.
Just to get rid of those fine lines.
The Havaianas iconic flip-flops and new colorful luggage.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's for your trip to the lighthouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
What else do they have? Jambies. Do you know what that is? It's inactive
No.
wear. Performance inactive wear. It's the clothes you put on the second you get home from work, aka loungewear.
Oh, okay. I like that.
The brand's signature product is its relaxed fitting, super soft boxers with pockets. Then they have everything from they have a new shower head, which is like this high-tech Japanese technology shower head called Fine Bubble.
It's what the stars use.
Gently cleanse and moisturize your skin for that special award show you're preparing for.
Uh-huh.
If you love popcorn, check out Oh Pop Pop, the world's first flavor-wrapped popcorn kernels. That's in the bag. The Rescue Kit by celebrity stylist Risa Costas. They make these emergency kits for weddings. If you've ever been a maid of honor, you may have packed a bag of essentials for the bride. Hairspray, tissues, Band-Aids, mints. It's all there. This brand makes the kit for you, Kim.
Mindy wants to know if you can throw in a new car as well.
A new car! I don't think we have that drop loaded. It's on in my home studio. But it does feel, by the way, use of luxury vehicles and cars, driving them for a year or whatever, very much a part of what this would be about. So
a new electric car. Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Right. I mean, and they do offer I mean, that was more in vogue a few years ago, but that's definitely a part of the scene. What can you tell us about the scene? It's an electric car, Larry. PAs get excited by these bags as they typically get a good portion of the contents. Oh, that's interesting. JR is sort of suggesting, assistants and production assistants get the cast-offs. Also, family members, they can be, but there are, now obviously a lot of the things like the shower head and stuff like that and the emergency kit and all that, you can give that to whomever. But there are provisions when it comes to the travel. So like you can't give that lighthouse trip in Italy to somebody else to then take 7 members of their family. They're looking for some social media pop. There are aspects to this that are a little more, that are a little different. So
Joni wants to know if you've ever attended the Oscars, and if so, what was it like?
I have never attended the Oscars, but I've attended the Oscar parties, like the Vanity Fair party, the Elton John party, which are kind of big deals because they're really better than the Oscars are sort of boring. And I've been to every other award show except the Oscars. And I was bored stiff at all of them. I've been to the Golden Globes, Grammys, American Music Awards, Country Music Awards, blah, blah, blah. And I've worked a bunch of them too. It's just, once you're past it's exciting, I think, for the first year, maybe, all that stuff, all those stars, all that shimmer. But after that, it's kind of boring. And if you're not nominated for anything, it's really boring. And even if you are nominated, it's waiting for your nomination, you know what I mean? And to come up, and then you don't get it or whatever. It just, there are a lot of moving parts. You realize that it's kind of a personal appearance for a lot of these people. At the Emmys, you could actually do some business in the lobby, which is why I liked it. But
Yeah.
apart from that,
Huge in Japan says, does the sundry kit include Narcan?
that is funny. That is funny.
It's a wild idea, but it just might work.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what's happening in the
Karen
world.
says it's jewelry is the good stuff. They did that for a few years.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I actually was writing a script about a jewelry heist that had to do with the jewels that are loaned to the stars on Oscar night. You know how a lot of them, well, I'm wearing Fred Winstone. I'm wearing, right?
Yeah.
There's a big business associated with that. A friend of mine, Martin Katz, is very famous for providing jewelry to some of the highest profile female stars on the red carpet. He's a jeweler in Beverly Hills, Bay Area kid. That's how I know him, from the Bay Area. And I was writing the script, a friend of mine, about jewelry that was being provided for the Oscars and trying to work a heist. You know, I like heist movies and caper movies that is associated with grabbing the jewels on Oscar night.
Oh.
But I never got it off the ground. So you know what?
Yeah.
There's a free idea. Whoever wants it, you got it. Yeah. I had one other thing I wanted to are we done with the Oscars? Can I move on?
I don't know. I don't think we are. They want to know if there's a lot of questions coming in. Mindy wants to know if they serve fabulous food at the Oscars.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's some questions about who you mingle with at these award shows.
There's no food at the Oscars. There's food in the after the Oscars. There's food at the governor's ball. You know, I never told you. I never told you the story about Lou Gossett and the governor's ball. Didn't I tell that story? I feel like I might have told it, but
I don't recall.
Okay, so after the Emmys, which I was in attendance for a few years in a row because I had a lot of stuff pretty active at that time in my career in television and connection, whatever. Anyway, there's a governor's ball right at the building alongside or whatever.
Sure.
We go into the governor's ball, and there was two spots to sit at the HBO table. I'm at I think it was the HBO table. Not important. It was a huge table.
Were you on HBO at the time?
I was connected to an HBO project. Yeah. So Lou Gossett Jr. is there on the far end of the table. So almost exactly opposite me. And it's an immense round table. And in the middle of this table is this immense Lazy Susan. You know that thing where you roll it? It's a big circular thing, right?
Spin it. Yeah.
So you roll it to the thing you want, and then you can reach it, and then you run. Which was really smart because it was so big a table, you couldn't have put stuff down. It would have been a festival of, can you please pass the whatever, you know. So instead of that, the Lazy Susan. So you got big table, Lou Gossett Jr., everybody's there. Everybody's a big deal, and this huge Lazy Susan. I've never seen a Lazy Susan this big. It was like, you know, it was table sized. So sitting there. We all order drinks. Lou Gossett orders this Stein or whatever, large glass of beer. Okay. It was like really a tall glass of beer. And we're all talking, laughing. And then I turn the Lazy Susan to get the bread or whatever. And I turn it maybe a quarter of a turn. And something was sticking out of the Lazy Susan on the far end. And as I turned the Lazy Susan, I saw, but it was too late. Like the minute I saw it, gravity had already kicked in. This thing that was sticking out, topple Lou Gossett Jr.'s big glass of beer, and it went like perfectly. It went all over him and didn't get anything on the table. It was like a
There's never been anything like this.
Poor Lou Gossett Jr. is soaked. Okay.
You know, they do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
So, of course, I leap to my feet. I go, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. This is, and you know what? He was the coolest dude. absolutely the coolest. I mean,
Yeah.
if he was melting down inside, it was way inside. He said, "Hey, don't even worry about it. Are you kidding? He was like, it was just, he made me feel so much better about it. But I remember I kind of wrapped up my presence there at the table pretty quickly. Like I didn't linger.
You're out. You're out. Yeah, that's it.
I didn't want to road test how long his good mood would last, because that beer really soaks in, So that's my experience at the governor's ball for the Emmys. Yeah.
Can't take you anywhere. I'm telling you.
Cannot. All right, here's what's happening, everyone. Let me get
The Mark Thompson Show.
We'll take a break for Kim's news. We will be joined by former executive producer John Daly from KGO.
What?
And he will join us for Friday Fabulous Florida. Albert has put together a sweet one, and we'll get into it next. Smash the like button like a boss. Thank you for being here.
Smash
Mark
it
Thompson
with
Show.
your iron rod.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Let's start with the president, because President Biden says a strong jobs report shows his economic plan is working. He's speaking at the White House, noting 311,000 jobs were added last month. That is more than an analyst had expected, but the revised figures for December and January show 34,000 fewer jobs were added in those months than originally reported. And speaking of President Biden, he has approved a request from California's governor. There they are together, Gav and President Biden. He's approved a request for help from Governor Gavin Newsom as the winter weather comes in blasting part of our state. The presidential emergency declaration approved today after being requested last night. It is the second time the state had requested federal help this year to assist with storm recovery efforts. And a bill to overrule controversial changes to Washington, D.C.'s criminal code is now on its way to the White House, where President Biden is expected to sign this new law. It's reducing penalties for crimes like carjackings, robberies, even some murders in D.C. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy said the bipartisan legislation sends a message: lawmakers will no longer be soft on crime. There is a 2005 recording of former President Trump. Here's his picture, because you needed to see that this morning, bragging about groping women, and it could be used as evidence in a case accusing him of rape. A federal judge ruling the Access Hollywood tape released before the 2016 election. Remember that one? How could we forget? You probably have a clip of it somewhere, right? Grab him by the whatnot. It may be used in a civil trial where he is accused of raping writer E. Jean Carroll in the mid-90s. So that could be used as evidence. Ford Motor Company plans to lay off 1,100 workers at a plant in Spain. Get rid of this guy. There you go. The company, Ford, had already announced job reduction plans in the UK and in Germany. Ford says the cuts won't delay plans to have an all-electric fleet of vehicles in Europe by 2035. And former NFL wide receiver Otis Taylor has died. The Kansas City Chiefs making the announcement, with chairman and CEO Clark Hunt saying he was an integral part of the early success of the Chiefs. He won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs. He's part of the Chiefs Hall of Fame as well.
He was terrific. Yeah.
Otis Taylor is his name.
Yeah.
The news sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. So if you need help with your taxes, you know who to call. It's Steve Moskowitz. He's at 888 Tax Deal. You can see it down there, moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
Feel it in your soul. The Mark Thompson Show.
All right. Well, it's great to have everybody here. It really is. And I'm just getting the Florida docs ready.
Okay.
Kind of expected Albert to hit a longer sweeper, but I didn't. I didn't request it, so I have to be fair. To be fair to him, let me bring on the former executive producer at KGO. fan favorite, and
Yes.
one who we miss. He's made it to the outside. He crawled out of Shawshank. He made it into real life. We're always curious about how it is on the outside. Here he is, John Daly, everybody. Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
What's up, John Daly?
Hi. Oh, you've got Archie there.
Archie.
Hey.
Hey, everybody. Archie, you want to make a cameo?
I love it. I love it. What's the story? What can you tell us about the scene? What do they let you work from home? Is that how you're able to do your?
Yeah, I'm in an undisclosed location right now. We have contractors working on our front room. We had a leak in our ceiling from the December megastorm, and yes, there's
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
so my front room looks like CSI. There's plastic everywhere.
we're about to do work here at my mom and dad's house, which is where I am, everyone, in Washington, D.C., to give us a bathroom downstairs that can, accommodate, some of the needs of the next few months. And so we're preparing for what you're going through right now, like plastic up everywhere. And I'm worried about construction dust. And, so.
Are you getting the ADA bars put in? I had those put in for my mom.
Yeah, I think the full complement of bars and the full complement of
not that kind of bar.
Yeah, not that kind of bar, but the things that are associated with allowing for assistance. That's all in. So,
I think this current backdrop, it could actually be a mugshot, with nothing behind you. Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't be the first time. It is Florida after all. What I have going on is a situation.
Yeah.
Albert, if you have no reason to stop this proceeding, I will mention to everyone that on Fridays it is a tradition.
Yeah.
That we feature news from a state that serves up the weird, the scary, the concerning, oftentimes just plain bizarre. This is Friday Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
We start in the world of politics, sort of. The Boca Raton, Florida Planning and Zoning Board had a meeting. I know you like to stay abreast of such meetings.
Of course.
They are trying to make up certain administrative decisions for the year ahead. And a woman from Florida ambled up to the microphone and says that she wants in addition to appreciation days for Mother's Day and Father's Day, she wants a Sugar Daddy and Mommy Appreciation Day in Boca Raton, Florida. Yeah. She identified herself as Ashley Cream. She took to the microphone at this Boca Raton Planning and Zoning Board meeting and proposed that March 10th in future should become a designated day to celebrate the area's benefactors.
Mark,
no
we
offense,
have some,
but Ashley
we
looks like she could float away.
Yeah, we can play some of this video.
And why she had a planning?
My name is Ashley Crave.
You have 5 minutes.
Okay. I just want to say good evening, everybody. Everybody's looking absolutely fabulous. A little bit serious, but I am here as a concerned citizen and voter. You guys might not be aware, but Florida has the largest per capita population of sugar daddies in the U.S. Miami, Palm Beach, and Boca lies the most concentrated populace of these aged benefactors. Sugar daddies, both gay and straight, and yes, even sugar mommies, are responsible for college educations, cars, homes, rents, jets, Birkins, and the occasional body enhancement. But not me, though. I'm all natural.
Well, she really leaned into what did she say about, not that it, She said, but I'm all natural. Is that what she said, Kim?
I don't know. I was still looking at her boobs.
Well, I thought she said the occasional body enhancement, but I'm all natural. Is that what she said?
She can't
Albert?
help but lean in, Mark. It's not a
Yeah, it's gravity. It's
I hate to
Ooh.
gravitate.
Can you imagine
to
walking
that,
around like that? I mean, that's exhausting.
I mean, clearly she wants you to gravitate to that. Otherwise, she wouldn't, quite have it that way.
Well, when she said body enhancement, she gave a little shimmy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shake it, Ashley Cream.
Good for her, I guess. It's a.
But I was going to say, why is she at a planning commission meeting? They don't determine
it's
the
a
day.
wild idea, but it just might work.
I mean, maybe zoning for her boob job.
Well, it's very funny that John Daly should mention this because, first of all, I like that we are getting past the theater of this to, hey, how come she's showing up at a planning commission meeting? John is right. What they told her was, hey, this just in, you're at the wrong meeting. We don't rule on this stuff. You have to go to the city commission for that. And that's
Ashley was doing a service. Those planning commission meetings get really boring. You can't talk for so long about where the next Whole Foods is going without a little Ashley Cream in the middle of it.
Well, maybe she had an addition. Maybe it was an addition
cookie.
she was trying to get
that's
done.
true. She had to get approval for some of the work that she's had done.
My bad. I'm sorry.
City council is where she'll be appearing next. If you want to follow her on to her next hop. Florida man. Sorry.
Once we had the parade of S&M ladies, the bondage ladies that came into the meeting.
Yeah.
Once they open the floodgates, it's like you don't even know who's showing up next, right?
That is true.
Yeah. Those people walk so Ashley Cream could run, basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We used to do a segment over at KGO, as you know, called City Council Theater.
Yeah.
And it was pretty fun. We would always try to find somebody making a speech, these frustrated actors or, if you'll just allow me to speak, my lord, I can continue. The parking situation is unacceptable, my lord.
That's how you got your start, Mark, right?
Look, I would take it. I would take it. It's exposure. All right.
I'll make it a major announcement right now. I will. My daughter, Julia, has been appointed to the Petaluma City Youth Commission. So she sits on a city commission now.
Wow, that's very, very good time.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, this is how it starts. She'll be probably lobbied and there'll be bribes she'll be inundated with the corruption.
She'll be standing next to Ashley Cream in no time.
Yeah.
Let me speak.
A Florida man who's 60 years old does how many push-ups in 1 hour to break the world record? Albert, can you hit us with a little millionaire music, please? How many push-ups does this guy do in 1 hour?
I accidentally deleted the music, so I need to get it back. So
you accidentally deleted that. It's been a great day. I'll still take guesses as to how many push-ups in 1 hour to establish a new world record. And by the way, again, this is a Florida man, and he's an older dude.
In an hour? That's a long time.
Yeah, it is.
But your arms would wiggle out, right? Wouldn't your arms get exhausted?
Well, I'm sure everything's exhausted, but your core and all the rest. He's 60 years old. I don't know. They're what 60?
Jeff says 647.
Yeah.
Tom says 200. Neil says 3,000. How?
I will stop the guessing.
900.
At Neil, he is closest. 3,264 push-ups in 1 hour to break a world record. The 60-year-old Floridian bested a Guinness World Record when he completed that 3,264 push-ups in 1 hour. Wow. Very impressive. 60-year-old man. Bravo. A Florida man is attacked by an alligator after he hears a noise and he opens the front door.
Who's there?
Never.
Knock, knock.
Yeah, that's right. Land shark. According to police, the Saturday evening incident occurred after the resident was bitten by a gator. He opened his front door after hearing a noise that he thought was someone looking for his son. After opening the door, the gator lunged at him and hit the man's upper thigh. I went outside. I didn't turn on the light and just got a step outside, and something grabbed me on the leg and started shaking violently.
What?
That's the picture of him and his leg injury.
6 or 7 feet long is what he estimates the gator to be.
Well, maybe the alligator found his son.
Let me finish. I'm just taking a chomp. I was going to tell you I also found your son. He said that when he saw what it was, he stepped back to the house and closed the door. That's a good idea. And the wildlife officials said later that the alligator was closer to 9 feet in length. So, a Florida dad is arrested after shooting at a naked man found in his teen daughter's bed.
What?
I'll kill you, he yelled. The Cape Coral Police Department responded to this incident. It happened just after midnight a few days ago. Actually, what's today? The 10th. It just happened 2 days ago. There was a call out saying that there was a man naked in this guy's teenage daughter's bedroom. That sparked him to shoot at both the roommates through a closed bedroom door. This is as you can tell, like a rooming situation where other people are there. And the guy who shot was the guy who also called the cops. He was very angry. They were able to get everybody out of the bedroom and cool things out once the first responders arrived.
What's his mugshot?
What's that?
That's his mugshot.
No.
This is a man with anger. This is a man that has resentment towards you.
Yeah, as mugshots go, not awful.
There was a dude found in his daughter's bed. I get it.
Apparently, there've been some heavy drinking going on. And,
are you willing to bet your lunch?
That there's alcohol involved. The two victims of the entire thing acknowledged to drinking in excess with the shooter earlier in the night. And when the teenager realized that there was a naked man in her bed, she went to her father and told him about what happened. Oh, so it's a far different situation. Police said that the teenage girl, though, did not allege a crime had occurred against her when the man was in her bed. It's a confusing situation. There are a couple of different stories. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel as though I'm going to post this to my Twitter feed. You guys can decide if you want to read in further details beyond just the mayhem. A Florida woman is arrested on her 4th DUI, and here's why they arrested her. She crashed into a motorcyclist this time.
What?
She's 62 years old from Edgewater, Florida. Multiple charges. She reportedly crashed into a motorcyclist who had to be airlifted to a hospital. She did a lot of damage. And this guy was just visiting from South Carolina to Florida for Bike Week down there. And he ends up with this huge crash. Video surveillance showed that the back of the bike was hit by this woman while he was stopped at a stoplight. A Florida man who is plotting to build web servers on the moon.
Oh.
Yeah, is taking cloud computing beyond our atmosphere. What is the story, Albert? Is this a great forward-thinking individual?
No, it's actually a startup group that is actually trying to put something on the moon to do some cloud computing. So it's it's based in Florida, but they were in Texas before, and they're just trying to figure it out. I'm guessing they're big Elon Musk fans.
Yeah.
But Well, somebody should tell them there are no clouds on the moon.
They do want to. They want to launch data into the atmosphere and get it and land it on the moon.
Yeah, they secured at least $5 million in funding, so they might actually send this thing up there.
Well, from Silicon Valley Bank.
Yeah, right. From Silicon Valley Bank. Better check again. Oops. They say they are looking at the company's called Lone Star at a specific lunar economy that they expect to begin. So, again, this is
a lunar economy.
If you missed out on Bitcoin.
Right. Another chance. The initial data center will feed off the mission's lander for power and communications. We believe that expanding the world's economy to encompass the moon, which happens to be the Earth's most stable satellite, is the next white space in the new space economy. I love the BS.
It's a wild idea, but it just might work.
I love the BS that comes out of Silicon Valley. It's great.
It does sound like a white space.
Yeah. Data security and storage will be a necessary part of leading the new generation of lunar exploration, they say. Florida fishermen find a hand in a canal.
But now we're cooking with fire. Yeah.
It's not a human hand.
No?
Well, they say, Lee County deputies, that this fisherman alerted to them about his potential body part found in the Matlacha, Florida canal, the Matlacha, Florida canal.
Ah.
They got there to investigate. It turns out it was a hand, but it didn't belong to a human. They retrieve the hand. And do you see it there? Can you get a picture of it? No?
Yeah. It's like a mannequin hand or rubber hand.
Yes, exactly. It is a mannequin hand.
I was hoping for alien.
Yeah. I can't believe that. Yeah.
I can see how that would cause, trouble, concern.
Yeah. Well, the cop said they get the job done. Gotta hand it to them. Thank you very much. That's kind of humor we look for. Yeah. And finally, a Florida man wins $4 million when visiting his newborn grandchild in Massachusetts. Sometimes you need to leave the state of Florida. Sometimes you need to leave the state of Florida to make good things happen. It was a lottery scratch ticket that he bought in Massachusetts worth $4 million.
Oh.
He was visiting his newborn grandchild. James Devine of Estero, Florida, was the first $4 million grand prize winner from the lottery's $4 million platinum jackpot. He bought his ticket in Chicopee from a Nuria shop and a gas station.
A what shop?
Exactly. What is that? Kim, do you know what that is?
What?
I don't know what it is. No.
A Nuria, Nouria. I think it's the name of I think it's a chain or something.
Oh.
It's not like a product.
Never been.
Anyway, and also at a gas station there, or from a shop at the gas station. In any case, it was on Memorial Drive, which is where in Chicopee the winning ticket was sold. Memorial Drive is where? It's 2012 Memorial Drive. Do you know where that is?
Yeah, that's about 10 miles from the closest Whole Foods.
He chose the cash option on his prize. Got a one-time payment of $2.6 million before taxes. And that is why it pays to visit your grandchildren, even if they're a ways away. $4 million in Massachusetts that he wouldn't have had he not gone to visit the grandchild. My friends, that is Friday Fabulous Florida for today.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
As a required annex to Friday Fabulous Florida, we must pick a favorite. It's like picking between children. It's tough to do, but we must do it. It's in the bylaws of the show. I'll remind you again, the Sugar Mommy Daddy Day that was pitched by that woman at the wrong meeting, but to city planners. The Florida man breaking the Guinness record, 3,264 push-ups in 1 hour for the 60-year-old who knocked down the record. The Florida man attacked by an alligator. He heard sounds outside. He went out to see if it was his son. Bam. It was the alligator. Chomped him. 9-foot alligator. I'll kill you, said the Florida dad, who was arrested after shooting at a naked man in his daughter's bed. The Florida woman arrested on the 4th DUI for running into the motorcyclist. The Florida man who's plotting to build web servers on the moon to store data. The Florida fisherman who find the hand. It turns out it's a mannequin's hand. And the Florida man who wins the lottery by traveling out of Florida to Massachusetts. We need a favorite, and I ask you, visiting producer John Daly.
Alligator at the door. We got to go with that.
Alligator at the door is strong. How about you, Kim?
I don't think you can not go alligator at the door. I mean, it's a slam dunk.
Alligator at the door.
That's fully Florida. Yeah.
Commissioner, what do you think?
It has to be the sugar mommy. Sugar mommy at the wrong meeting. You know, it's Florida. She's at the wrong meeting. She's trying to get a point across, and she got her point across. We're talking about it here on Friday Fabulous Florida, but
yeah.
I'm sure the sugar mommies won't be getting anything beyond what they're currently getting.
The lottery story was heartwarming. Well, we don't like heartwarming. Sugar mommy wins hands down. Somebody agrees with Albert. Tom does.
Sugar mommy is in the lead on the poll, so people are voting. At least 64 of you have voted already. It's that one and the Gator surprise attack. Or John, how did you say it?
Alligator at the door.
Gator at the door. Yes, the
Gator at the door.
Coming to theaters close to you. The Gator at the door.
Gator at the door.
He could have been going door to door selling something.
Girl Scout cookies.
This summer, don't answer the door.
I mean, we got Cocaine Bear, so if we could get Cocaine Bear, we could get Gator at the door.
Yeah. Somebody call for a gator.
Was the dad holding a machete? No, he was not. I was going to go Gator at the door because it is so Florida, but that meeting where the woman shows up and wants a sugar daddy and sugar mama day, that's pretty Florida also. And she's at the wrong meeting. It's just so great.
I'm sure she took the entire 5 minutes, and then at the end they said, "Ma'am, you're at the wrong meeting."
It's a photo finish, but you can vote on YouTube. The vote is there. So brand new. So very, very good. Thank you all for playing. I want to acknowledge the visiting producer, former executive producer, John Daly. Go back to your regular job, the one that has benefits. And I really love that you spent time with us. I really enjoy seeing you always. And
congrats on 10K. You weren't here last week, but congratulations.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. We hope we can continue to evolve the show in good ways. Thank you, John.
Adios.
Bye-bye. Yeah. John Daly, everybody. I was not.
He's awesome.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Smash the like button like a boss. If you're watching, cost you nothing. Give us a thumbs up. We appreciate all the ways you support this show.
It with your iron rod.
Best ways to support us are Patreon and PayPal. That way we keep the lion's share of the money here within the show. You can get both those links at themarkthompsonshow.com, themarkthompsonshow.com. You can click right through to Patreon, click right through to PayPal, and at the end of the show, all of our Patreon sponsors, all of our PayPal contributors are all acknowledged there with credits at the end of the show. In addition to that, we've been acknowledging you along the way, and we'll continue to do that as time permits in the days to come. Also, we have some special events, special videos that will be dropped first to people who are contributors on a Patreon and big PayPal contributors as well. So there are added incentives to come and sort of things that we're going to be offering as the months come that Patreon and PayPal contributors will have access to. And we'll also offer other ways you'll have access to them here. But I just want to explain sort of what we have planned well into the future. There's, by the way, just speaking of plans, in the next hour, we'll talk to Jim Avila and Michael Shore about what's going on in the world and politics. Next week, the award-winning screenwriter, the guy who wrote Captain Phillips, Billy Ray. He also wrote the Hunger Games. Okay, he's an award-winning screenwriter. He'll be here, and he has political activism at his core. I think you'll really like Billy Ray. So we'll get a chance to visit with him. We've got a lot of other great guests for next week as well. But I just want to mention that Billy Ray, I think, is really going to be a high point for next week as well. All right. Without any further delay, Kim's News, then Avila and Shore join us. Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Let us begin. There's this picture of a tree down in the Monterey area. Thanks to our viewer John for sending that one in. It's a perfect picture as we talk about rain continuing to fall on Northern California. Santa Cruz Mountains getting really hard hit. Sheriff deputies went door to door last night in the town of Felton to warn people to leave their homes. And early this morning, parts of the main highway through that area were blocked by mud and rock slides as expected. So cutting off that community. Hopefully people got out in time. Norfolk Southern identifying an issue now with the wheels on newly made train cars found during the derailment investigation out of Springfield, Ohio. In a statement, the company says the wheel sets on a specific model and series of specialized cars were determined to be loose or show unusual movement. The American Association of Railroads releasing an advisory to all rail carriers now, asking them to stop using those cars for the time being as they check into it, see what can be done. So maybe it was the wheels. Maybe that's why the derailments are happening.
I mean, it's just insane that these derailments, they're serving up derailments like a short order chef. This guy, literally, the CEO is testifying before Congress, and during his testimony, there's another derailment of one of his trains.
Yeah, that's pretty ironic. The Treasury Secretary asking Congress now, raise the debt limit and do it without any conditions. During a House hearing, Secretary Janet Yellen said a default on the nation's debt would trigger an economic catastrophe. She's calling on lawmakers, raise the debt ceiling sooner rather than later, as a default could occur sometime between the summer and the early fall. So she wants it done, and she wants it done now.
Well, I mean, there's no question about the real peril that the U.S. economy finds itself in if something is not done in terms of raising the debt limit. There's just it's indisputable, but it's this political football. We'll talk to Avila and Shore about it in a moment.
It's hopefully they get something done, and usually they make it all political, right? What are you going to give me if I raise the debt ceiling, instead of just doing what's best for the country? Speaking of what's best for the country, we've got daylight savings time approaching fast. I know it's your favorite, right?
I mean, we should not be having this anymore, should we?
Well, experts agree.
Yeah, go ahead.
They say daylight savings time can have a negative impact on health. The time change disrupting the body's internal clock and sleep. Researchers say at least a quarter of the population feels a little down for the first few weeks. Dr. Heinrich Gompf at UC Davis Health says emergency rooms see an increase in cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, stroke, and fatal car accidents in the week following the time change.
I mean, that should be fairly compelling evidence. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but here it comes, March 12th.
So it'll be that Saturday night to Sunday, essentially.
Yeah, usually is. The man convicted in October of killing college student Kristen Smart in California is due to be sentenced today. Here's a picture of Kristen Smart. This attorney for this man, Paul Flores, is asking the judge to throw out the conviction and order a new trial. But sentencing is set for today, and Paul Flores could face 25 years to life in state prison for the attempted rape and the murder of Smart, his 19-year-old Cal Poly San Luis Obispo classmate. Smart, of course, disappeared in 1996. Flores wasn't arrested until 25 years later. Her body has never been found. Here's a story for you, a stormy story. Look at this Tesla. Crunch. This strong winds brought a large tree down last night in Northern California, right on the hood of a moving Tesla. The driver and the passenger are expected to be okay. That Tesla, though, total loss. San Mateo County officials say more trees like this one that fell in Portola Valley are likely to come down because the ground is already saturated. It'll become more unstable with additional rain during the next few days. And speaking of all this rain, swift water rescue teams are ready for action here in Northern and Central California. The state has 14 teams. They are all deployed for the first time in 6 years. They are all out, ready to go. One is headed to the Russian River in Sonoma County, where it's expected to reach a foot shy of flood stage near Guerneville by tonight. Crews standing by for any overflow, calling it a big area of risk. And there are more ski resorts in California that are closing down today because of the storm. The list now includes Kirkwood, Heavenly, North Star, Donner Ski Ranch, Sierra at Tahoe. Officials say it's too dangerous for guests and employees due to rain, wet, heavy snow, and high winds. Also, Interstate 80 and Highway 50 are covered in snow, require chains if they're even open. It could even get worse through the weekend. More snow on the way. CHP saying, don't try to go to Tahoe. Come on. Don't do it.
Sierra cement now that you're getting. We had these last storms that produced the record, base and snow level depth at the highest elevations. That's that was dry powder in effect. This is wet. It's a warm weather storm, so this is all the crap that you hate. It creates flooding issues. It creates this sort of unskiable and boardable snow. It's not the best scenario, even from the standpoint of when these areas open, they're going to have to groom that snow out. I think. I mean, unless some lighter, kind of colder weather systems move in to produce some better storms from the standpoint of snow production. Anyway,
well, let's go from heavy, thick Sierra cement to gator in a pool, because in celebration of FFF today, an alligator is responsible for giving a Volusia County, Florida woman what she calls an unexpected surprise. Stone Island's Lynn Tosi found an 11.5-foot gator in her pool Wednesday morning. It said it looked like the gator broke through a patio screen like the Kool-Aid Man. She called the FWC, the Florida Wildlife Commission. They came and took the gator. Unfortunately, they euthanized it. She tells News 6 in Florida if the gator had been out there the same time as her dogs or her daughter, it could have been terrifying. I don't know why they euthanized it.
Yeah, I don't get that either. All right.
Yeah. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz for more than 30 years. Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. So if you need help with your taxes, call Steve Moskowitz at 888-TAX-DEAL and MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
It was great. I loved it.
How would you handle this? We could try ignoring it, sir.
Morning.
You cannot say you love your country.
Where are my weed smokers at?
Stay at home and get baked.
Oh, yeah. Hour 2. Come on, everybody. It's our big Friday show. Glad you could be with us. Thank you for that smattering of recorded applause. Oftentimes, you'd think that wouldn't be enough to buoy my spirits, but you'd be wrong. I love it. And it's so good. This is the home of my mom and dad. This is where I used to beg for the car, right here in this hallowed place. So I am here for my dad's situation, which has gotten incrementally better. So I'm happy to report that. And this is our last show here before we're back to the West Coast. And we should be in the studio for the next few weeks after that. These guys are so cool, too. Join us. It's our regular Friday roundup of things going on around the world in American politics. So lucky to have them both here. He's the former senior correspondent at ABC News, covered the White House as the White House correspondent for many years. And he's a fan favorite, I might add. Please welcome Jim Avila, everyone. And
we missed you.
Thank you, Kim. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, good to have you here. And this guy has forgotten more about politics than most of us will ever know. He has covered COVID from COVID wards. He's covered immigration problems from Central America. He has covered Trump rallies from Trump land. Here he is, Michael Shore, everyone. Yes.
Yeah, Michael Shore.
Welcome back, Jim.
Thanks. And Michael's been a frequent visitor as I've been recovering. Appreciate it.
That was very nice, Michael Shore. That's
And he always comes like a pastrami sandwich, which is even better.
Tiring of that. Yeah. Poor Jim was in the hospital for a while. So the hospital menu that's strong.
Fun to know that he's not anymore. That's good to know.
Right.
Yes, he's not anymore. Right. I visited Jim and I was astounded by how expensive the parking was. Can you get me validated next time?
So I'm at this rehab center now, working on getting my walking fixed, and it's $20 here, Mark. $20, not $15. $20.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what it is when you have an LA media pass parking. It doesn't cost anything. I wouldn't.
Where's the Mark Thompson media passes? That's what I want.
Have visited Jim. I wouldn't have visited Jim if the parking.
It already cost you $20 for the pastrami sandwich. So
when Jim was getting his transplant, his brother gave him an organ, and when he was getting that transplant, I went in and saw him prior, and the parking situation, you park the car, you get lost, and it's this maze of stuff. And I finally get to Jim. It was like Lord of the Rings trying to find his room, all of these different things. Oh, no, you want another building. He's not in this building. He's fourth floor of the other. It's like, all right, take it down. Well, you can't go to the main floor. You got to go to the mezzanine level. That's where there's a causeway to cross. So, okay, so it really was quite complex. And when I finally got there, Jim was what? Sleeping, of course. Yeah, I'm not going to wake the guy up, So you wait, he's sleeping, and then you just turn and make your way back to the,
Leave it to Mark Thompson to have a lot of complaints about going to visit somebody.
I did. And left out of that story is I couldn't find the car for another hour, so I had to pay the maximum for the.
There's never been anything like this.
So,
so I sent you all kinds of pictures, and this is what you put up.
Well, I sent them to Albert, but I think he kind of jumped on late or something. Albert, did you get the?
I'm unable to change the picture, so I can only fix his mic settings. So I'm sorry.
Okay. But Albert, you could put it up as I don't know how you.
I was just giving you.
No, we did. I sent 3 really handsome pictures of Jim Avila to Albert, but I guess.
Although I do kind of like this little dot thing. That's
the little dot that moves.
I may use that from now on. It's my headshot.
Seems like you could find somebody better than Albert who could probably figure that out.
Oh man,
the first out of bounds hit. The first out of bounds. There you go. I knew it could be done. Yeah, there's Jim Avila.
Not big enough though, but okay, good.
That's exactly how he looked in the hospital.
Right.
All right, boys. First, Kim had a story about the debt ceiling and about Janet Yellen essentially underscoring to Congress that this debt ceiling has to be raised. It's clearly being, we've talked about it, used as a political pawn in negotiations or in grandstanding around various social programs and other budgetary priorities. I wonder if you could speak to the debt ceiling and Biden's budget, which we've just gotten a peek at, and just that entire process, which is somewhat political. Start with you, Michael.
Oh, we'll start with me. Yeah, it is political. It is almost a rite of passage of any Congress is to have to deal now with the debt ceiling, and Congress always raises the debt ceiling. It may cause and has in the past caused shutdowns. It is something that is used for political bargaining, but everybody knows that in order to keep the government running, and when you hear from the Fed and you hear from the Treasury that these are the things that have to happen, they usually acquiesce. But it is a powerful way of getting what you want. And right now you have the president, as you mentioned, Mark, presenting a budget to a Republican Congress that is certain not to approve it. But there is going to be some back and forth over some of the line items in that budget. And it is going to come down to the bargaining chip of the debt ceiling. The problem is that the budget can take a while. The debt ceiling has to be raised in shorter order. So I would imagine that the Senate and the White House is going to put pressure on the House in many ways to raise that debt ceiling, and getting Janet Yellen there talking about it is an important part of that. It's important to keep the government running. Everyone there knows that.
Jim, how do you handicap it? Do you think they'll really allow a government shutdown in June?
They might for a short period of time. This Kevin McCarthy has absolutely no power over his constituency there in the House, and the power is all with the Freedom Caucus. And this type of battle is the reason why Boehner quit. John Boehner quit because of this kind of exactly having to deal with the Freedom Caucus, and he wanted to make a deal with Obama, and they kept undercutting him. And one of the reasons, he just got tired of it. And I think the danger here is that McCarthy has, it's not like he's not like Pelosi, who could get people in line. He's going to have trouble. But more important even than that, to me, is I think politically, Michael's right. It happens all the time. It could lead to a shutdown, a small shutdown, a short shutdown. But eventually, if you don't have park rangers and you don't have Social Security checks coming out and and the IRS collecting taxes, that's going to cause real problems, and they don't let that go on that long. What I really wouldn't mind talking about here, Michael, and your opinion, Mark, is this budget that Joe Biden has come out with is really profound. And it is, if you look to the actual the policies that it's doing, this is the root of the wealth system in this country, and the problem he's trying to address the problem in this country that is at the root of all these problems, and that is that inequality of people of how much money people have. And what he's trying to do is take some of that money from rich people who make more than $500,000, $400,000 a year, and pay for these programs which are in jeopardy. Programs like Medicare and Social Security. And he hasn't actually gotten to Social Security yet, but Medicare first. And also some programs that are very important. Child care for women who cannot get out and work because they spend all their money on child care. These are things that are fundamentally important to this country, and it's a fundamental battle. We haven't seen any Republican budget yet because all they want to do is bitch and moan. But the Democratic budget that Biden has put out is a clear statement about how Democrats believe this country should be run, and that is raising taxes on the rich, people who don't pay taxes, and giving that money, or that largesse, to the people who need it. And I think it's fundamentally important to get beyond the politics and look at what we're saying here about these two parties.
Yeah, it's such a good point. And Michael, I'll give it to you here in a second. I just was going to say that you can speak to the fact that what Jim's talking about in this budget is typically what is reflected in budgets that come out of presidential administrations. There's not an expectation that it will pass as such, but it does give you a sense of where the priorities are and where the goals are, as Jim says, to kind of try to take something from those who have benefited the most from society, right? The wealthiest, the corporate America that has done so very well, to feed something back into the system to address some of these issues that Jim's talking about. Go ahead, Mike.
No question. I mean, Jim's spot on. And what's like, if you go like just a mile back from that, you look at what a week this has been in Biden world, in that, the president has kind of shown some of his, I would say, more moderate tendencies, and his, in talking about or, flirting with the idea of coming down hard on immigration in ways, going against the DC City Council on crime. So taking these issues, which could be wedge issues, and coming to the center away from the progressivism that he's been touting throughout his presidency. But the hard fact here is this budget that he put forward does all of those progressive things. It does go after the rich, as Bernie Sanders had said, go after Wall Street, go after all these tax breaks that they get. Make sure that you tax these people. So rather than cutting spending, which is what Republicans want to do, he wants to raise taxes on those people, as Jim said. And that is, in fact, a cookie cutter model of progressive democratic politics. So he's at once been able to embrace progressivism, but also say, look, I'm not all the way out there on that left flank. I'm with you on a lot of these issues. And that is the demeanor of somebody who's preparing to run once again for the nomination and the presidency, which it's going to make it very difficult to run against him if he is a lot of things to a lot of people. The other thing that is part of this is putting back the child tax credit, which appeals across the board to independents, to Democrats, and probably to some moderate Republicans, working Republicans, especially union Republicans who have strayed from the Democratic fold a little bit. So there's a lot in there. Again, like Jim said, this is never a done deal. It's hard. In fact, if it's anything, it's a not done deal. But it's a place to start off. And when you know where the White House is starting from, that's where you have to kind of meet a little bit later. And going back again to what Jim was saying about Kevin McCarthy, there are people that are going to stray from that Republican line and not stay with Kevin McCarthy. Maybe not on the Biden budget like this, but there are going to be some things that they do concede on.
Yeah, I just want one more point on the budget, if I could. The only thing that bothers me, not the only thing, but the main thing that bothers me on the Democratic side, and certainly on the Republican side, is that we don't address any cuts at all in defense spending.
Thank you so much. I was just about to say it. There's one huge
that
thing.
That is where we spend, and we keep these huge businesses, and many of them are here in Southern California. McDonnell, I don't know if McDonnell Douglas is still around, but they have a lot of these defense companies, Raytheon and the rest, that are, look, I believe in supporting Ukraine. I do believe we should, but it has been a blank check for these defense companies, and that if we're really going to address some cuts in spending, that's where we need to go, not social service programs where people are suffering.
But that's exactly the politics of this, though, Jim. Is that you go back and the Republicans go to the White House and they march up out the North Lawn and they say, well, we were inside just now and this happened. But in point of fact, what has happened here is now you can say, all right, we won't raise taxes, but we'll have to cut spending. And where we're going to cut spending is in the military. Again, it's not as cut and dried, and Democrats don't tend to do that because the military is in all 435 congressional districts, and it becomes very tricky when you're cutting, and it's going to affect your own district, even if you're the most progressive. Ilhan Omar has military in her district in Minneapolis. So there are contractors, there are National Guardsmen, there's everything. So you have to take that into account. It's not where they're going to start, but it's where they may end up having to make deals.
The other thing about, and Michael is so right. I mean, you're both so right, of course. But I mean, the secret, almost parlor trick, if I can use the expression, that the military-industrial complex does is dropping a little bit in all the districts that these various legislators occupy, such that they'll get some sort of bang. I mean, if you'll pardon the expression again, political bang for that money spent in all of those districts. So everybody, from the standpoint of constituency, has action. But it really it's out of control. It's absolutely out of control.
It's very difficult. It's look, it's dreamland to think they're going to cut the military budget. I realize that, but I'm just saying, I think it needs to be done. If just as an independent person, it needs to be done. And John McCain, who was pro-military, but he was very strong on going after the Defense Department for these programs which we don't need. There are programs with both airplanes and ships that we're building that are already antiquated, and it just costs us more and more money. I'm not advocating cutting the Ukraine budget. I'm not, but these other things, some of these other. And at the same time, as a person, I've got to say that I do sleep well at night, knowing that, all right, China, you want to give us a shot, we can probably take you on, and probably, it could lead to nuclear disaster, but we're not a pushover, and I do appreciate that. I just think
we
that there's
could
a lot
not
of
spend we could not spend money at all on the military probably for the next 2 years, and still we would not be a pushover. We have overspent so enormously. Most of this money doesn't even leave where I am right now in Washington. Doesn't even leave the Beltway. It's a scam. The military budget is a scam. And
Right.
Michael Shore noted one of the scams, and I was mentioning it as well, the way they spread the money around. But the rest of it is, it's payoffs, it's lobbies, it's bonuses, it's crap. It's weapon systems that will never be used. As you say, they're fighting the last war. Jim, it is a mess, the military budget, and it goes unquestioned for some of the reasons to which you allude, which I think are associated with when nobody really wants to be in that place where they feel as though they're actually putting forward a strategy that would leave the U.S. vulnerable in any way to the growing threat of China and Russia. Yeah,
we live in a scary world, and it's difficult to cut the defense budget, but we need to go in there with a scalpel, not with a sledgehammer. But McCain was doing that. I don't see anybody who's doing that now, and certainly the Freedom Caucus is not doing that.
And we're somewhat bankrupt of the McCains who are able to do that, right? I mean, he was this decorated, almost heroic figure in American politics, American military lore of the past 50 years. But we're running out of those people, and he had license to do that, but very few are left on Capitol Hill that have that kind of the bona fides to be able to step up and say, hey, you know what, we got to cut this, because people would listen to what John McCain said on this.
And you have more and more of these guys who've never served, and they don't want to be seen as cutting the budget. I mean, there are all these reasons that have nothing to do with the actual defense of America that go into the politics of what that number is going to be, that bloated number. And then last thing, and I want to move on, the Pentagon asks for a bloated number, and then the Democrats, when they controlled Congress, gave them 10% more than that bloated number. It's just all the politics of wanting to seem strong.
That's all political, because they don't want to give the Republicans the high ground.
Right. Wanting to seem strong.
That's the problem.
But the Republicans, what I think they're foolish about, the Democrats, is the Republicans are always going to maintain that high ground on this issue. It's a Republican issue, and to try and look good on it when it doesn't really resonate. There aren't people walking around the streets, and I don't know. If let's assume what Mark said is right, that 10% above the military budget is what Democratic Congress gave them. There's nobody walking around. There's nobody walking around in Democratic primaries saying, I know this, and that's why I'm going to vote for this person, or in a general election. The Democrats have been great on the military. Republicans own that issue, and I think Democrats, it wouldn't be a bad idea to challenge that.
Yeah. But what I'm interested in is, all right, GOP, here's your Freedom Caucus sending out these messages that they're not going to do this and they're not going to do that. Where the heck is your budget? What do you really want to do, and how much money do you want to spend? And let's compare. And because the Democrats and Biden have put out their budget, they've made a statement. They realize it's not going to pass in its form here in any way, but they've made a statement about what they want America to spend its money on. Let's see what the GOP has, instead of just saying no, 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 and they won't do it.
In our last couple of moments, I just wanted to ask you if you felt that Fox News Channel, which is so clearly an opinion maker, which is why I think it's worth spending a moment on them. It's the same reason I thought it was important not to ignore Donald Trump after he, seemed to be viewed as irrelevant after he lost the election. He was involved in all these various legal battles, and he was kind of even losing support within his own party. He was relevant. He was and he's still obviously very relevant. But in that same spirit, on Fox News Channel, which is an opinion maker channel, I'm wondering if you feel as though this Tucker Carlson thing, where he tries to recast January 6th and essentially sanitize what happened, if that is leaving a stink of any kind on that network. I mean, you were both active in the news media world, and I'm wondering if you think America has changed to the point that people don't care, and that news is so siloed that people just, they want to be preached to because they're already in the choir, or if you feel as though this was a mistake on his part.
Look, I could say it was a mistake because it seems like a mistake, but what I inferred to be a mistake over the years that Fox News has made, I've been wrong about 100% of the time. So they seem to stick to viewers. I think the worst thing that could happen to them is when Trump is starting to say it's time to pull away from Fox News. For Fox, that's the worst thing that can happen. What Tucker is saying, I don't think matters at all, especially when Lachlan Murdoch, who now seems to be running the show there, has not veered from the sort of edicts of his father, as some had thought. And the other Murdoch kid, whose name escapes me, James, they thought that perhaps if he had been running the show more, that it would have veered and they would have gone in a different direction. But it seems like business as usual. If I predict that this will hurt them badly or Tucker will lose his show, it's a losing proposition because I'm always wrong about it, because what matters to them is not what matters to me and to most people.
I think that Fox News has been damaged by the combination of the Tucker Carlson quote unquote documentary and these emails that have been released because of the Dominion lawsuit. I think that combination has damaged Fox. They're going to continue to have their 25 to 30%, which is enough to keep them going. And really what they've depended upon all along. Their audience has not been split by these other up-and-comers. Fox has remained dominant. Now, the up-and-comers might gain a little bit now, but we're already seeing that. No, sorry, I have somebody coming in. You want to just put that over there? Okay. I apologize. What Fox is, ma'am, I'm on the phone. Okay? No. Sorry, it's on their schedule, not mine.
No problem.
So anyway, I think that Fox has been even more damaged among independents, which is the key in elections. And as we saw in the 2020 midterms and with the election of Joe Biden. This continues to be a problem for Fox to appeal to anybody outside their bubble. And this damages them even more so among the independents, who now see that not only are they liars, they're so duplicitous that Tucker Carlson will go on television and praise Trump in public and at the same time tell his producer how much he hates the guy. And that is, I think that's more damaging even than what we're seeing in the what we're seeing as far as his show.
They're not even reporting the Dominion lawsuit. It's interesting, like the tree has fallen and no one is there. It is.
But some of the Republicans, it's interesting. Some of the middle of the road Republicans who would never criticize either Trump or certainly Tucker Carlson have come out and said, guys like Lindsey Graham, guys like Mitch McConnell.
How about Mike Pence?
There was a January 6th riot, and this is BS.
Mike Pence
won't use the word bullshit.
Yeah.
Mike Pence won't criticize him, Jim. I mean, that it won't say that.
They were chanting "Hang Mike Pence."
And he's running against him, and he won't criticize him, right? I mean, he's going to be running for president, won't criticize him, and they said "Hang Mike Pence." Ma'am, I'm on the phone.
All together, ma'am, I'm on the phone.
Yeah.
One thing, I saw one message come up here. I feel like Mark's in his posture if we got to wrap this up. But before we do, somebody said, that these politicians are out for themselves and not their constituents, which is an easy place to go, but they're not mutually exclusive. And I think as you get to know a lot of the people who are in politics, you realize you can be out for yourself and still want to help your constituents. In fact, that helping your constituents is better for yourself and your reelection. And so I think when it comes to things like the military budget, like we talked about, there are military people, families, veterans, active contractors, people associated and adjacent to the military in every congressional district. It does help Mr. or Mrs. Y congressman, but it also helps the people, and that's what makes it a tricky issue, and that's why it's so craftily done by the Pentagon and the military contractors, and that's why it has to change.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. I'd love to dip into what's happened between Saudi Arabia and Iran, believe it or not, next week. So maybe we take a little international tour. I know both of you have done reporting internationally, and I'd love to talk about the effects on so many things. They seem to be on opposite sides of so many different issues and conflicts in that region. It's interesting to see any kind of rapprochement at all between those two parties. But anyway, thank you so much for weighing in. I know that Jim, you just got out of rehab and all this other stuff, not physical rehab, not.
Yeah, I hesitate to use the term rehab because people think I'm recovering from drug, but it's a leg injury and I'm learning how to walk again.
Yeah, very, very good. But it's great that you made time to join us today. And Michael, so appreciate you always. Thank you. Michael Shore and Jim Oval, everyone. Have a good weekend, boys. Talk next Friday.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Albert, I'm going to spend a moment with Steve Moskowitz, if you'll allow me. If you'll sting me, I will do it.
The Mark Thompson Show.
And now bring him in. He is the tax ninja, over 30 years in the Bay Area, helping Californians and Americans with taxes, setting up businesses, maintaining them, and finding government money in the form of ERC and beyond. Steve Moskowitz, everybody. I'm in Washington, D.C. with my dad not doing so great, so I came back here, as you know, Steve, and I was at the Washington Wizards game, the basketball game. And you're probably saying, what does that have to do with Steve Moskowitz? And I'll tell you. So I'm there just casually eating, drinking at the halftime. And the woman across from me introduces herself. She is very high up at the Small Business Administration. Okay. And she said to me, and this is the part that I thought of you. She said, did you get some of the 2.1 billion, or it was some ridiculous number, or the 1.2 billion that we gave away, Mark? When she heard that I had this YouTube, project going, she said, what do you do? And I told her about the show. And I said, well, I didn't even realize that I was eligible for that. She said, of course you are. You have a small business, don't you? And and it reminded me of the people who don't think that they have ERC money coming. I was that guy in that moment, Steve.
Mark, that happens all the time where people don't realize. And what's worse than that is all the people that have gone to a CPA who says, oh, well, your gross revenue didn't go down enough, so you don't qualify, because they just want to take the easy way and mass produce them. There's two ways. That's the easy way, which we'll try the easy way first too. But if you don't qualify, say, okay, there's another way. We just have to do a lot more work to see if you qualify. But a lot of people do. And that's where people are really being harmed, where they're being told you don't qualify, and they do. It's like a doctor saying there's nothing done to help you. And that's not true. Just the doctor doesn't do that operation, but another doctor does. We're actually willing to take the time with you, that go ahead, sit down with you, work with you, figure out if you can qualify. And sometimes we need multiple. I have one client, we're on our fourth time together because we're really working to see, is this client going to qualify? And we haven't charged him a penny. And the bottom line is, if he doesn't qualify, I don't take a penny for those 4 meetings. If he does qualify, then I want to see him get every dollar to which he's legally entitled. And that's a big difference between our law firm and a lot of other people that are just trying to do it the easy way.
And the truth is, you can't Google this stuff and figure out whether or not you're entitled to the money. That's kind of like what that story was about. Like, I didn't even think of myself, and that there would have been no way for me to navigate that pot of gold. But her point was, hey, the money's here for you to get. You just need help getting it. You need someone to tell you you're eligible, and then someone to actually do what you're talking about, Steve, which is go down all those small little avenues to get some people who are sole proprietors or have small businesses that might feel like they're too small, to help them get a share of all that money.
Absolutely. And we're here for you. And we've helped so many people. And Mark, there's still an awful lot of people that still need to be helped.
So let's do it. Get in touch with Steve. You can reach him at 888-TAX-DEAL. You see us scroll the number across the screen constantly during the show, and you can find him online, moskowitzllp.com. It's 888-TAX-DEAL. And again, 24 hours a day, reach him, ping him with an email. There's a contact button right on my website, moskowitzllp.com. Steve Moskowitz. Steve, thanks so much. Have a great weekend, pal.
Thanks, Mark. You too.
All right. Keep 'em up, dude. Love it. Albert, Kim, let's have a family meeting.
Okay.
The first thing I want to do with the family meeting is I want to sting Albert after Moskowitz, please.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Now, the family meeting is about Michael Snyder, who awaits us, the culture, the green room. We're very late. I also feel as though the storm is kind of a big deal, and I wanted a little check-in with Kim because of this.
Yeah.
Can we, Albert, you as producer, can we check in with Kim, have her do a couple of minutes with storm damage and other stuff affecting the Bay Area and California? And then
let's do a couple minutes on that.
And we still have a solid 15. So we have a solid 15 minutes with Snyder. Isn't that good?
Yep. We'll get to Kim. We'll have 15 minutes with Snyder, and then we'll end the show with our shout outs. Okay. We have a lot of shout outs.
Awesome. Love it. Let's do it. Kim's news next, and then the Culture Blaster. Mark Thompson Show.
I'm Kim McAllister on the Mark Thompson Show. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Yeah, storm's a big problem. As a matter of fact, Highway 101 in Gilroy in the southbound direction closed because of flooding. The CHP says no estimated time for reopening. Same 580 through Oakland, flooding. Bad stuff. So part of 580 closed down as well. President Biden declaring an emergency exists in California. He has ordered federal assistance to supplement state, tribal, and local response efforts to emergency conditions resulting from the current round of storms. Now, they don't know if this is storm related or not. Here's a picture of the Pete's Coffee warehouse in the Oakland area. There's one man dead, one woman injured after an early morning roof collapsed at this warehouse in Oakland. The two working for Pete's Coffee early this morning when part of the roof caved in. Not yet known if it was related to weather. It has not been snowing in Oakland, of course, but there continues to be heavy rain in this region. A fire official saying that if the roof collapsed 2 hours later, would have been a lot more people hurt because a lot more people would have been in there. Janet Yellen, well, since I have a couple more minutes to tell you about the news, Janet Yellen, Treasury Secretary, says the latest jobs report indicates a very strong labor market in the U.S. Yellen telling lawmakers at a House hearing today, it shows the Biden administration is putting Americans back to work. The report also revealed the average hourly wage edged up slightly to $33.09 an hour in America. Americans divided a bit over whether or not the COVID pandemic is over. A new Gallup poll found 51% saying not over yet. 49% say it's done. Despite that, only a quarter of Americans are either very or somewhat worried about coming down with COVID. Speaking of people getting sick, injured, it is Mitch McConnell, Kentucky senator, remaining hospitalized with a concussion. The 81-year-old Senate Minority Leader fell at a dinner event in D.C. Wednesday. A representative saying he will be in the hospital for a few more days for treatment and for observation. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis saying the state has seen nearly 11,000 migrants and sent them back to their home countries after they tried to enter the state illegally since last August. According to the Republican governor's office, 167 migrants were caught trying to enter the state over the weekend, 51 apprehended upon landing in Florida. And George Santos, embattled Republican congressman, denying that he orchestrated a credit card scam several years ago. Politico recently published a sworn statement from a former roommate of Santos claiming the New York congressman carried out an operation in Seattle to steal information from ATMs and credit cards. Santos told reporters on Capitol Hill he's innocent. He had no part in that scheme. And I'll get to one more story for you, because if you're caught drunk driving in Latvia, your car's headed to Ukraine. Cars confiscated from drunk drivers in Latvia helping the war effort in Ukraine. The first delivery of cars seized from drunk drivers arrived in Ukraine this week. Latvia has the highest rate in drunk driving in all of Europe, and Latvian authorities seized 200 vehicles from wasted drivers January and February. The government hasn't been able to auction off seized cars fast enough, so it's sending them to Ukraine's hospitals and the military. Say goodbye to your car. Sayonara, sucker. One more. Let me give you one more story because I know you guys really want this one, okay? This is Brock Purdy. He had surgery today on his injured throwing elbow. Should allow him to return to play possibly as early as the start of next season. So,
Well,
Brock Purdy
that is
back
big
in
news.
action. Yeah.
And we need to send a card to Brock Purdy.
Send some flowers. Send the Mark Thompson gift basket.
Yeah.
This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals, for businesses. If you need help with your taxes, please call Steve Moskowitz. He is at 888-TAX-DEAL and MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
Feel it in your soul. The Mark Thompson Show.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for finding the show, however you found it. And thank you for turning other people on to it. We passed 10,000 subscribers. We're really excited about that. We need to grow the show even more. So bravo for all of you who are, hitting the like button and being part of our community and supporting us in all the ways that you do. So
I just want to find 11,780, which is one more than we have.
I'd like to. Can we do a special shout out day when we get to 11,780, Albert? Don't you think we should?
I agree.
We have to at this point.
So 11,780 will be the next number that we have a big special celebration. Okay. So that's something to look forward to. Hey, this guy is amazing, I think. I was just bragging about him last night. Someone was asking me, you talk about movies on your show? I say, well, we have this guy. He's amazing. He knows music and loves music. He knows movies of all sorts and loves movies of all sorts. The subtitle movies, the superhero movies. He's a comic book nerd. He's also a nightclub guy. He's a television guy. He reviews it all. He calls himself the Culture Blaster. He comes and goes on a rainbow. Woo! Michael Snyder, everyone. Michael Snyder, welcome. Thank you for your patience, and I'm sorry we're starting a little late today.
Well, salutations to all, especially the mighty 10,000 plus who have subscribed to the Mark Thompson Show. Obviously, Albert, Kim, and mighty Mark, your own self. This is a big deal. This weekend's a big deal. And I love the smell of haute couture, self-aggrandizing egomania, false humility, and desperation on a Sunday afternoon because it smells like Oscars. Honestly, it's so wet in California.
Somewhere, I think. Yeah, go ahead.
It's so wet in California this weekend that all the Oscar statuettes are being fitted for life jackets. Did you know that?
It is. It's incredibly wet. What do they do? All those celebrities, they enclose that little red carpet area so that they don't get exposed to the elements, I think.
Yeah, it's heavy canopy action. Mark, in Hollywood, Oscar is king, though. Does that mean Emmy is queen? Furthermore, did Emmy have gender-affirming surgery, asks every Republican. I know it. I've heard it. I don't want to talk about the Oscars.
Heavy canopy action should be a euphemism of some kind. I don't know what exactly it should be a euphemism for, but heavy canopy action should be something. Yeah.
You got to protect yourself in intimate moments, but that's going to be the wet carpet, not the red carpet. I hope people are going to take care of themselves. I don't want to talk about the Oscars because, as you know, I disdain them. I think it's a popularity contest. But
it's
I will say,
you're right. Go ahead.
We can talk about that stuff next week. Let's talk about the new movies opening this weekend, and also one or two from the recent past that I think are worthwhile. One of which is an Oscar contender, believe it or not. I want to get into this, and it's amusing and amazing that on Oscar weekend, so many weak movies are coming out. But we'll start with Scream 6, which is, as you might guess from the title, the sixth movie in the serial killer franchise that began in 1996 and concerns a masked murderer or murderers obsessed with horror movies and eager to slay a bunch of attractive young folks. Who isn't eager to slay a bunch of attractive young folks these days? Anyway, by the way, if you haven't noticed, the mask seems like homage to Edvard Munch's famous painting, The Scream, and I think thus Scream. Anyway, when does a franchise become such obvious product that it loses what appeal built it in the first place? I mean, the previous Scream installment was surprisingly enjoyable as a soft reboot that went back to basics and brought original cast members back, refreshed things with some snarky, meta-wise younger characters, and tied itself into the current wave of what they call elevated horror, or cleverly, reflexively commented on its own franchise by the Scream series having its own fictional horror film franchise based on the Ghostface killings, which are, of course, fictional in our world. Anyway, like I said, meta. So 6 is a case of going to the well many times too often. There is a certain juicing, though, that comes from moving the series out of the small town setting it's always embraced and taking the murderous rampage to the Big Apple, New York City. Anyway, the Carpenter sisters, played by Melissa Barrera and Jenna Wednesday Addams, of all people, Ortega, they may have survived the previous movie and are now going to school in New York, but they and their other friends and frenemies are obvious targets for Ghostface, or multiple Ghostfaces, or copycat Ghostface killers, who may actually be any one of their group. So OG Scream series queen Courtney Cox is back as journalist Gail Weathers, who is continuing to profit off the books and movies based on the serial murders. Hayden Panettiere is also back as Kirby, another survivor of the previous Scream movie, and Dermot Mulroney is among the additions to the cast, playing Detective Bailey, who was assigned to the new Ghostface crime wave in New York. So there's a lot of talk about, killer and victim behavior and how it plays out in horror movie tropes. There is some gallows humor and there is copious gore. So if you like Scream movies, this is one of them.
Wow.
I prefer the first and the fifth, but Scream 6 is more very red meat for the fans. It's in theaters.
Wow. All right. Scream 6. He liked the other 5 more, but this isn't. It's on brand for them. All right.
No, 1 in 5. This is just more. That's all this is.
Okay. All right. He liked 1 in 5. This is just more. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, it's kind of hard to diss a movie like Champions, which seems well-meaning and features a cast of talented, likable, underrepresented performers, but it too frequently succumbs to kind of heavy-handed plot elements and dumb scatological humor, which I guess is par for the course in half-assed underdog sports comedies. Woody Harrelson stars, or more accurately, phones in his usual laconic shtick for much of the movie's way too long 2-hour running time. Here's a little clue. When you got a comedy, top out at 90 minutes or you're going to lose the audience. Anyway, rather than delivering the sort of textured performance he's capable of delivering, Woody phones it in. At least that's how it seems. But the script is so predictable, albeit well-meaning, that I should probably give the man a break. In Champions, he's Marcus, a self-destructive, hot-headed jerk whose career as a minor league basketball coach is on a downward slide despite his talent and his supposedly burning desire to coach in the NBA. Marcus just doesn't work well with others, a problem magnified when his careless behavior results in an arrest and a judge ordering him to do community service by coaching a ragtag group of earnest, intellectually disabled wannabe basketball players.
I like this premise. I know it's predictable, but I like it, Michael. Go ahead. So far.
It's scene after scene of obvious action and maudlin relationship strife, easy slapstick, and eye-rolling on-court machinations as some sort of regional championship could somehow be achieved, if only. Then again, none of this is surprising since the movie, adapted from a slightly better Spanish comedy, was directed by Bobby Farrelly of the Farrelly Brothers, who achieved renown by making the highly successful lowbrow comedies Dumb and Dumber and There's Something About Mary, which were at least genuinely funny. the only truly satisfying thing for me about Champions is the presence of the neurodivergent actors, unknowns who prove that they are more than able to hit their marks and nail their lines. As for the pros, Caitlin Olsen of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is Marcus's cynical love interest, who also happens to be the sister of one of the players on the team. Wow, what a coincidence. Ernie Hudson of Ghostbusters is on board as a well-respected coach who has butted heads with Marcus. And a national treasure, Cheech Marine, plays a civic-minded supporter of the team. I wish all of them, including Woody and those on the team, were in a better movie. Champions is in theaters.
All right. Machinations is a ding word.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a Sam Peckinpah directed home invasion movie called Straw Dogs that starred Dustin Hoffman as an intellectual and ineffectual type who moves to rural England with his hot blonde wife, and local thugs decide to have their way with her and pound him into submission. Unwelcome is a new Irish movie, the first of 3 Irish movies we're going to try to squeeze in here.
Albert, do we have the poster for that? No?
Unwelcome? Okay. You might not. Oh, there it is. It seems to be blending Straw Dogs with folk horror, and it's kind of all over the place. Although to its credit, Unwelcome reminds us that not all little people of Celtic folklore are lovable, rascally leprechauns. So, Hannah John Kamen, who was in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Douglas Booth, best known for Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, are Maya and Jamie, a young couple living in a rough area of London. They're expecting a baby, but experience some urban violence that inspires them to relocate to rural Ireland, where Jamie's late aunt has conveniently left him a house. So they're welcome to the small town, but they hear of some bizarre local mythology and one specific tradition that must be enacted or bad things will happen. Meanwhile, the aunt's house is a fixer-upper that requires repairs, and the only available contractor is an overbearing patriarch type who uses his 3 loutish offspring as his workers. The contractor is played by veteran Irish actor Colm Meaney, who I love, and that's a plus. His trashy daughter is played by Jamie Lee O'Donnell of the very worthwhile and funny and charming TV series Derry Girls, and one of his 2 sons, the hulking, simple-minded one, because there has to be a hulking, simple-minded one, he's played by Christian Nairn, who you may know as Hodor on Game of Thrones. So there's an obvious threat posed to the couple by the construction crew testing Jamie's manhood, and there's the potential of a supernatural threat that soon manifests and could endanger Maya, who again is preggo. And need I remind you that goblins, elves, and such, if they exist and aren't just superstitious nonsense, sure do love babies. Oh, yeah. Anyway, Unwelcome is no pot of gold, nor is it a soggy bowl of Lucky Charms. I just wish its 2 major elements hung together better, even if it does feel somewhat slapdash by its patently silly climax. I have to admit, I was a little amused by the sheer crudeness and craziness of it. It's in theaters this weekend and available for streaming next week. Quickly, we want to talk about 2 other films, Marlowe. And Marlowe, I have to say, is a noirish crime drama set in L.A. during the late 30s and featuring author Raymond Chandler's classic private detective, Philip Marlowe, although that movie is not based on any of Chandler's novels or short stories. And it does happen to star Liam Neeson, the latest actor to play Marlowe. A list that includes Bogart, Robert Mitchum, and even Elliot Gould as a more modern version of the character in a terrific 70s update of Chandler's The Long Goodbye. Neeson would seem to be a natural to play this grizzled, down on his luck, durable guy. But this Enterprise seems like a knockoff, perhaps due to the non-Chandler source material. A novel entitled The Black-Eyed Blonde. I'm a big Chandler fan, read all his books, love them unreservedly, and I can say this thing comes off as if it was written by a Chat GPT AI after inputting a request for a script about Marlowe, corrupt rich people, dysfunctional families, murder, drugs, prostitution, and Hollywood's golden age. Yeah, anyway, one of the weirdest things about the movie is that it stars an Irish leading man, Neeson, has Ireland's Colm Meaney back here in a supporting role, was directed by Ireland's Neil Jordan, whose stellar filmography includes The Crying Game and Mona Lisa, and it was shot in Dublin and Barcelona rather than LA, which is pretty much CGI rendered here. So it's actually an Irish movie rather than the expected sun-bleached SoCal thriller. High-profile actors, Jessica Lange and Diane Kruger as a femme fatale mother and daughter, Alan Cumming as a perverse mobster, and Danny Houston as a sinister club owner. I expected more than the flat, even perfunctory narrative that resulted. Lacking oomph, snap, or a new slant on the classic gumshoe, Marlowe was a disappointment despite the upscale cast and the period detail. I was hoping that at very least Neeson would say, "Give me back my fedora, you mugs," or "I have a certain set of suspenders," but no dice. Anyway, in theaters and available to rent or buy for home viewing through Prime Video, Apple TV, and Vudu. We've sort of run out of time, but I do want to just say there is a great movie I can recommend this week, and it's been out for a while. It's called The Quiet Girl, and it's an Irish film, and I believe it's nominated for Best Foreign Language Movie since it's primarily in the traditional Irish language Gaelic. Absolutely lovely, tender, and moving feature set in rural Ireland, 1981, about a repressed 9-year-old girl named Kate who's having trouble and goes away for the summer to spend a little time with cousins, and in that situation begins to find herself. It's just a lovely, lovely film. We can talk about it at greater length at some other point, but it's
that's great though, and I'm glad that and then that's in theaters only, or is it streamable?
No, it's in theaters and available video on demand at iTunes, Vudu, and Apple TV. The actresses and actors involved, particularly the young actress playing Kate, Catherine Clinch, absolutely wonderful. By the end credits, it had scored 2 tiers on the Snyder Cryometer. It's a truly powerful emotional journey, even though it's small scale. The Quiet Girl.
The Quiet Girl. We just heard about it. Marlowe. The Philip Marlowe reboot done with Liam Neeson, filled with all these great actors, but Michael says, wish it had been better. The script just ain't there. Unwelcome. That's with the characters Maya and Jamie living in a rough area of London. They move away to this rural community, and in this small town, they learn of the mythology. He thought it was okay. Champions is the half-ass sports comedy starring Woody Harrelson. Predictable and full of that predictability and poor script that he felt made it a missable offering. Although he did give a special shout out to some of the kids they used, I guess, who were real kids in that program. And Scream, he feels the 6th iteration of Scream doesn't quite stand up to 1 and 5. That remain his favorite Scream films. Michael Snyder, you can read Michael Snyder in the Marina Times. You can find Michael Snyder oftentimes knocking around San Francisco in various haunts. And you can always hear Michael Snyder here on Fridays. Grateful for you, my friend. Sorry we started late. Thank you for squeezing it all in. He comes and goes on a rainbow.
So long, everybody. Have a happy Oscars weekend. Stay dry.
Happy Oscars, and send Brock Purdy a get well card. He just finished his surgery. Niners fan. Albert, I adore you. I follow you. I'm grateful for you. Tell me what we're doing now, please. We're doing the shout-outs?
Yeah, shout-outs, and then we're going to wrap up the show.
Yeah,
so here we go. Starting off with one of our favorites right here.
Oh, yeah? Kevin Hobbs, Hall of Famer. 3377. Come on, Kevin Hobbs.
Thank you.
Mad shout out to you, Kevin Hobbs. Thank you for all the support. I was just going over numbers last night, and it's just so critical that we get the kind of support that you've given us. Thank you very much. Super sticker from Gail Guthrie. What up, Gail? Thank you for $10 today, throwing into our virtual chip jar, a little Joe Fong action for $9.99 also. Thank you, Joe. And again, Spencer Jaffe, another 10. Always, these are regular contributors. Just so terrific that you guys are part of our world. Stan Pollock, CPA, $10. Hope all will be well with family. Thank you. Yeah, me too. Thank you so much. And Sharon Kidd, $19.99, half for fabulous Florida.
Thank you.
Half for March 4th, being my 10-year remission of ovarian cancer, stage 3. Wow. That is truly extraordinary. Congratulations to you. And continued success. Wow. That's really cool. Sharon Kidd. Good stuff. Dwayne Kennedy, City Shapers, San Francisco. Shape my city. Shape it, City Shapers.
Thank you.
$49.99 super sticker. Dwayne Kennedy from City Shapers. Man, that is really cool, Dwayne.
Nice, yeah.
Love it. Well, you guys are just the best. Thank you for making our time out of the studio a little bit easier, for supporting the show. Thank you all for convening here. Nikki has a show. It's going on right now. It's already begun. And Wes for an extra coffee due to daylight saving time. Yes.
Yeah.
Wes, love you too. Regular viewer, regular contributor. You can find Kim over on the Nikki Maduro channel. That show starts, as they say, it's already underway. And Kim, I will review your Photo Walks appearance, which I did watch.
Oh, no.
I will do that on Monday. I will note that everybody at Photo Walks agreed with Albert and myself that that picture was fake, or it was doctored.
Rude.
Yes.
And if you missed that clip, we do have it as a separate video. So check Mark's YouTube channel. You're already here. So just click around, you'll find it.
Yes. And
I'm Shannon
now,
Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
it's not over till I hear that.
All the time. Bye.
Have a great weekend, everyone. You know, the whole Spring Forward and Oscars, and until Monday. Bye-bye.